doesn't work.
Professionality.
I'm gonna submit it to Roger or to Webster. So. I mean, all the words that you're making up now.
I know. It's true.
I don't know, I'd be cross with it. I get stuck as I go. It's a nerve.
Some difficulty with that.
Professionality is a good word. It's gotta be. I do word connection.
I was a.
I got nothing. I got PRA and S on the end. For no apparent reason, I didn't think to put two S's together.
Good morning. It is 9:01. I will call this meeting of the City of Findlay City Planning Commission to order. It is September 12th. At this time, we will proceed with roll call.
All right, Mayor Meeran,
Here.
Mr. Martin,
Here.
Mr. Trombley,
Here.
Ms. Schroeder,
Here.
Mr. Klinger.
Here.
Very good. At this time, if anyone plans to speak for or against an item, please stand to be sworn in. Please raise your right hand and Jacob will swear you in.
All right. Do you affirm that all the testimony and evidence you're about to give in a case before this commission this day will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and will conform to the facts of the case and the rules of this commission? This you affirm under the pains and penalties of perjury. Please say I do.
Very good. You may be seated. I have the August 8th, 2024 meeting minutes for approval. Were there any amendments?
And make motion to approve.
Second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Hearing no discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. We have no old items on our agenda, so moving into new items. Item number 1, application for alley vacation AV-04-2024, filed by Cam Brown, 2B Investments LLC, to vacate the unimproved southern half of the first north-south alley east of Totton Avenue between lots 4107 and 3408 of Carnahan Addition. CPC staff comments.
Okay, so like you said, the request is located to the east of Totton Avenue, south of Sandusky Street. It's a 16-foot wide right-of-way that measures 45 feet south from the Marathon tanks to the unimproved east-west alley. It is not located within a 100-year floodplain. Staff analysis, the applicant has indicated that they would like to vacate the alley so that they can combine lots 4107 and 3408. If they're able to combine those lots, they'll be bringing a site plan to the City Planning Commission to add a structure to the site. All abutting property owners have signed the request. The site to the south would still have multiple access points into the facility. Even with the vacation, they primarily use Glessner Avenue, but even still, they could theoretically use Totton Avenue for access. So staff didn't have any concerns with the request. So TPC staff recommends approval of application for alley vacation AV-04-2024, filed by Cam Brown, 2B Investments LLC, to vacate the unimproved southern half of the first north-south alley east of Totton Avenue between lots 4107 and 3408 of the Carnahan's Addition.
Engineering.
No comment.
Fire prevention.
No comment.
The recommendation before the commission is approval of application for alley vacation AV-04-2024 filed by Cam Brown with 2B Investments LLC to vacate the unimproved southern half of the first north-south alley east of Totton Avenue between lots 4107 and 3408 of the Carnahan's Addition. Is the applicant here to speak on this item? If you could please come forward. Yes. If you could please just come forward real quick. I know it's pretty simple. Do you have anything you'd like to add to what was presented?
No. Nope.
You know what? Sometimes less is more. We agree.
Yeah.
Was there anyone here that wanted to speak for or against this item? Okay. Well, for efficiency's sake, because I don't think we have too many concerns with this, I will motion to approve application for alley vacation AV-04-2024.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Yes, well, just quickly. Matt, I think this is all zoned I-1 light industrial, is that correct? I think there are some R2s just to the north. Okay, that's what I saw on my map this morning. I wasn't real sure if it was up to date. Would you like to share with us what you're building there or not?
Yeah, sure. Self-storage structure.
Okay.
Yep.
I would
And as
propose.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to come back.
Yeah.
Very good.
I have no
Jacob, whenever
further-
you're ready.
All right. Mayor Maron,
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Mr. Trombley,
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder,
Aye.
and Mr. Klinger.
Aye.
Very good.
Thanks.
There you go.
And then Cam, this will go to the Planning and Zoning Committee for City Council at noon. So you're free to head out if you would like.
All right, moving on to item number 2, application for alley vacation AV-05-2024, filed by Josh Slough to vacate the east-west alley between 1727 Bank Street, 500 East Pearl Street, 1726 South Blanchard Street, and 1740 South Blanchard Street. CPC staff comments.
Okay. This request is that first east-west alley north of Pearl Street and west of South Blanchard Street. It is a 16-foot wide right-of-way that measures 243 feet in length. It is not located within a 100-year floodplain. The applicant owns all 4 properties that abut this right-of-way. This alley is unimproved and functionally doesn't provide any access to any of these properties. Many of the east-west alleys between South Blanchard Street and Bank Street have been vacated over the years. And if this were to be vacated, the applicant indicated they would like to add some structures onto that empty lot. So staff had no concerns with the request. CPC staff recommends approval of the application for alley vacation 8B-05-2024 filed by Josh Slough to vacate the east-west alley between 727 Bank Street, 500 East Pearl Street, 1726 South Blanchard Street, and 1740 South Blanchard.
Engineering.
No real concern. We do have a sanitary that runs roughly in that area, so it really shouldn't change anything because it's already affected by those properties.
Very good. Fire prevention.
No comment.
So the recommendation before the commission is staff recommends approval of the application for alley vacation AV-05-2024 filed by Josh Slough to vacate the east-west alley between 1727 Bank Street, 500 East Pearl Street, 1726 South Blanchard Street, and 1740 South Blanchard Street. Is the applicant here to speak on this item? Josh is hiding over there in the corner.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Do you want to add anything?
No, not for this one.
And we do have signatures from, you're the owner on
Yeah,
all
I
4
si- I
properties,
signed
so
for
you're good.
everything. Yeah.
All right, any questions from the commission?
The property ends about right in here, right? So there's like 4 lots here.
Correct.
Okay. And we are currently zone R3 there.
Correct.
Was there anyone here that wanted to speak for or against this item? Okay. Very good. I'm hearing no other discussion. Yeah, make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Last call for discussion. Don't get too excited if somebody else is coming up in front of us. These are a little easier than most other items. All right, hearing none. Jacob, whenever you're ready.
All right. Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Mr. Trombley,
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder,
Aye.
Mr. Klinger,
Aye.
Mayor Maron.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
He's next.
All right, item number 3, application for zoning amendment ZA-03-2024 filed by Josh Slough to rezone 615 Edgar Avenue from R2 medium lot residential to R3 small lot residential. This request is located on, CPC staff comments. I was going to read your stuff for you.
So yeah, the request is located on the south side of East Edgar Avenue, just east of the intersection with Bank Street. It's zoned R2 medium lot residential. It's in a pocket of R2 medium lot residential, but has proximity to PO, Parks and Open Space with Emory Adams just north of the site, and it is not located within a 100-year floodplain. Parcel history: the site is currently a residential dwelling. In the zoning map update, this parcel changed from R3 small lot residential to R2 medium lot residential. Staff analysis: the applicant has indicated they would like to rezone the parcel back to R3 small lot residential. During the zoning map update, it was recommended to change to R2 medium lot residential due to the size of the parcel. It's a double lot currently and conform better with the R2 standards rather than the R3. If the rezoning request is granted, the applicant indicated that they would like to sell the western half of the existing parcel and develop into either a duplex or a triplex. So staff had no concerns with the request as presented. So CPC staff recommends approval for application for zoning amendment ZA-03-2024 filed by Josh Lau to rezone 615 Edgar Avenue from R2 medium lot residential to R3 small lot residential.
Engineering,
No comment.
fire prevention.
No comment.
So the recommendation before the commission is CPC staff recommends approval of application for zoning amendment ZA-03-2024 filed by Josh Slough to rezone 615 Edgar Avenue from R2 medium lot residential to R3 small lot residential. Discussion. Josh, now that I know you're here, hiding over there, anything you'd like to add?
No, I mean, we need housing, and a duplex or a triplex on that lot does seem to make sense.
Okay. Matt, under R3, is a triplex conditional or just a duplex? Triplex is conditional?
Both duplex and triplex are
Okay.
conditional.
I don't support this because I don't like the fact of sticking an R3 lot in the middle of R2s, even though it's a small area and everything. I just don't feel that that's the right thing we ought to be doing.
I mean, it's a pretty common, I'll just say it is a pretty common situation throughout the city. This area, when we did the map update, there's some lots that are the R3 size, some are the R2 size. Honestly, it could have gone either way. So I really don't have an issue. It's both residential uses. It's next to industrial. So we're not going to see a lot of future development here. And I think this is just maximizing and utilizing the space there.
Yeah, knowing that it came from R3, and you answered my question I was going to ask you, so if you could have flipped the coin at R2, R3, and it was already R3, I don't see an issue with this one.
Yeah, when we did the map update, a lot of what we did was taking the lot frontage and the amount of area to see which conformed better. So in this case, it had the frontage that R2 would have seen more often. So
I realize that we've had some of that mix going on, but here we're creating a new R3 and an R2, and that's where I have kind of the difficulty with it, I guess.
I kind of agree with that. It feels like spot zoning
Yeah.
a little bit, just to allow a specific development. And-
Sorry.
Yeah, if you look, where is there else is there R3 anywhere near there? I realize there's industrial right nearby, but that whole neighborhood to the to the west is all R2.
If Matt has the other map from before, or if he can zoom out in a zoning map,
I can't.
all of Park, all of Washington, all of that area is all R3.
So let me just, this is an R3 size lot. 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 So there's four lots there that are R3 size. I don't, sometimes spot zoning, if we were to zone this C2 commercial, I'd consider that spot zoning. But we're going from, it's residential next to residential with slightly different standards. So I don't consider having R3 next to R2 as spot zoning. It would be something that was, something way out there. like I said, I mean, we have industrial here. Oops. You know, at most, I mean, there's not much that can be added at this point. So I don't see any issue from a zoning standpoint of being able to split this lot. This lot would end up being the same size as the lots that are around it for the most part.
Now the one thing that's left out in this equation, back in 2020 when we were doing this, Mr. Thomas, who owned this property prior to, was contacting my office in regards to the rezoning of his properties. He passed away in August of 2020, prior to us getting fully adopted with this map. So he was against rezoning to R2. He was going to opt out, but that never came to fruition because he passed away.
Is the lot big enough to support a triplex?
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
mean, if you split it off?
What's the width?
The width is 50, but being that Mr. Slough owns both parcels that we'll be splitting off, he's going to give like a 65 width, I think. So that will come back to, being it's a conditional use, that proposal will come to City Planning Commission for discussion. So at that time, it can address, but it was able to fit what he is possibly looking to do.
And is it a triplex you're looking at?
Duplex or triplex.
The
Yeah.
existing lot is about 130 feet wide. A typical lot in the center of the city is 50 feet wide.
Yeah, when I visited this site, I don't have any significant concerns with it, given kind of all the things we mentioned. First of all, it was previously R3. Thank you for the additional context of Mr. Thomas not wanting to change it. I think that that is an important factor. I think it matches the surrounding parcels. I think something to keep in mind is zoning has a little bit of variance in each of these scenarios. So I don't think that it would be, I think that splitting the lot, rezoning the lot makes sense for the surrounding area. I think then when any site plan would come to us, that is where we would be able to address concerns with conformity to the neighborhood to make sure that it is not obtrusive. But I think that the parcel is plenty wide enough to be able to accommodate two parcels in this area.
I don't disagree with that the lot split and having two houses on there. It's the increased intensity of the use.
Yes.
That's the issue that I have. It can certainly have two lots. No argument there, but everything around that area is R2.
I agree.
That's my concern.
But you would be able to, under R3, put just a single family home, which is not an increase of intensity.
Correct.
That would be discussed at
Sure.
the site plan review.
But it opens up to more dense uses, and that's, again, my concern.
Was there anyone else that wanted to speak for or against this item? Okay. Other questions, comments from the commission?
Based on my previous comments, I'd make a motion to approve this recommendation as written.
I will second. Any other discussion from the commission? Hearing none. Jacob, whenever you're ready.
All right. Mr. Trombley,
No.
Ms. Schroeder,
Aye.
Mr. Klinger,
Nay.
Ms. Mayor Marion,
Aye.
and Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you all.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Item number 4.
And before let me, so both those two items that you had will go to City Council Planning and Zoning Committee at noon. So you're free to leave if you'd like.
Item number 4, application for site plan review SP-13-2024 filed by Blanchard Valley Hospital for reconfiguring their existing parking lot at 2923 of the Highland Addition on the north side of West Pearl. CPC staff comments.
Okay. So the request is on the north side of Pearl Street, north of the main hospital building. The hospital complex is zone 01 office institution. To the north, there's a neighborhood of R2 medium lot residential. It is not located within a 100-year floodplain, and the city City of Finley land use plan designates the area as office. Parcel history, this is an existing parking lot on site. Staff analysis, Blanchard Valley Hospital has applied to reconfigure the parking area. This would see a shift in the location of the parking lot 6 feet to the north. This would eliminate they would also eliminate the east-west oriented parking medians, the existing brick wall, and the trees along the north end of the site. In their place, they would add 4 north-south oriented islands along the drive aisle that would have the required tree inside. They were provided 68 shrubs around the perimeter of the parking lot, which would meet the code. They provide a 6-foot-tall vinyl fence in the place of the deteriorating brick wall. And they have also provided 6 trees along the north side of the site to replace the removed trees for the construction. So staff was appreciative of the applicant's willingness to maintain those trees and the fencing along the residential area to the north. I got a couple calls from neighbors just curious kind of what the plans were, and they were all supportive of the proposed fencing and keeping the trees in place. So anyways, the CPC staff recommends approval of the application for site plan review SP 13-2024 filed by Blanchard Valley Hospital to reconfigure their existing parking lot on lot 2923 of the Highland Edition on the north side of West Pearl Street.
Engineering.
With some EPA requirements on this, there's going to be a water quality apparatus or BMP that they're going to be installing as part of this project. So we'll be working with the consultant on that, but that'll ultimately go through EPA approval as well.
Fire prevention.
I would like to update my comments to no comment.
Okay. Very good. All right, discussion. You guys want to walk us through your project a little bit?
Basically, it's pretty straightforward. They're going to do pretty much a direct replacement, other than it's going to be a little bit wider to meet current standards for the city. We understand the importance of maintaining screening along the north side, so we made sure to incorporate that. That's been in discussions for many years, and so forth. So, and the EPA requirements, we'll work with Jeremy on those, get the BMPs installed and the maintenance agreements and all those kinds of things required by the city. So, other than that, I don't really have anything to add unless there's more questions.
So no significant change in impervious area that would affect stormwater
Correct.
runoff or anything like that?
Correct.
Okay.
And I believe you, excuse me, you were proposing a 6-foot high fence.
Yes.
Could we consider an 8-foot high fence? Because that fence is going to kind of sit down off the crown of the parking, I think, a little bit there, and that would give the neighbors a little better screening. The plan shows 7 trees proposed there instead of 6. I think 6 was mentioned, but I'd like to say let's have the 7. Okay. I'd like to see more islands, planted islands in there. It doesn't meet the current standards for islands. For instance, if you were to put an island at the end there, and at the end there, and then one here and one here, with plantings in them. I would propose that we do that.
In the interest of maintaining the same number of parking spaces they have, we'd really like to stay with what is proposed. And if it comes down to it.
I mean, ideally, we want to keep the same parking spots. We're tight on parking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it calls for one island for every 20 cars, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree. I prefer to see more islands. However, given that this is an existing parking area that they're trying to maintain, and I know parking is tight over there, I think it would be more disruptive to the neighborhood to decrease the number of parking spots than having less trees in it. I'm always a fan of trees, but I think in this instance, I'm comfortable with not having them in this area.
Yep. And one of the considerations in looking at this parking lot as well is the condition of the existing pavement doesn't allow a resurfacing. If it did, it would simply go through and resurface and restripe as it sits today. But the condition of the pavement just won't allow it, and then to reconstruct it, we've got to bring everything to the dimensional standards required by the city for the parking spaces. So.
Regarding the wall,
Yes.
on the north, running east and west. If I recall, it's actually a elevated wall, and then isn't there like a fence on that? Or no, is it just brick?
Just right.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Are you
There are
gonna
many people
rebuild?
behind it that
or-
have fences that are up, that are
That's what
taller
I,
than the
okay,
wall.
that's what I, okay.
Yep.
You're gonna get, the brick wall is gonna be replaced by the vinyl wall,
Yes,
correct?
the brick
Okay.
wall is coming out.
Okay.
Yep.
There's sections that are
Yeah, it's in-
falling over
yep.
and it's
Yep,
in,
I think it's
in
gonna be a
rough shape.
nice improvement.
Yeah.
Yep, a little more screening for the neighbors too.
What would be the distance between the new fence and the neighbor's property? Is there enough room there that can be maintained, and who's going to maintain that? I think it's still probably hospital property.
It is hospital property. It varies anywhere from, I believe, 10 to 15 feet behind the existing serpentine wall is actually Blanchard Valley property. So,
Okay. And lighting, I think I saw 4 light fixtures in that parking lot. Is that adequate?
Yeah, there are 4 lights out there now, and what we have shown now are current basically to replace what's there. But we are working with an electrical designer to update the lighting plan.
Okay,
So
and they'll
we-
submit photometrics to,
Yep.
yeah, okay.
Yep.
I think in reality, you've got a lot of lights around the perimeter, but I don't know that they're working. You know, there's the small poles with the small light heads on them. I still struggle with the islands. You're losing 8 parking spaces. Could we at least get some? If you put the islands in, like I mentioned, you'd lose 8 spaces. I suppose I'd probably really prefer there and here at least.
6 spaces.
I hear that, Dan. I guess my thoughts are, if you were to take those 8 spaces and turn them into islands, they would need to make up those 8 spaces somewhere else, and that would mean a further encroachment towards the neighborhood or people parking on the street, and I think that's going to be a bigger disruption. So I agree. I want to see it look nice. I think this is going to be a nice improvement. But I would support it as is without the islands, the additional islands.
Are you eliminating a parking lot somewhere else for this? Because anytime I've seen that, there's not been that many cars in it.
Last time I was there for some blood work, I had a hard time finding a spot. It was completely full.
Yeah. From my experience, that's a pretty full lot, so.
And it appears also that there are trees and existing bushes and stuff on the outside perimeter
Yep.
that will be maintained, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that also provides screening, again, from the roadway, the greenery.
If I give up on my parking here, do I have to give up on my parking at the shopping mall? Or my islands, I mean?
Both are gonna be a tough
You
sell.
can voice your opinion on anything, Dan. That doesn't mean that we're all going to support it. All right, other questions or comments from the commission? Was there anyone else that wanted to speak for or against this item? If you could come forward and please introduce yourself and your address or what ward you live in.
Okay. I'm Bill Shado. I live at 1708 South Main Street, which abuts this property. When the hospital put in the power plant and the parking lot, we at my house started to experience problems I had heretofore never experienced, and I've been there for 40 years. I asked the hospital personnel to address the issue, and unfortunately it has not been. It continues to persist, and it has to do with stormwater. When we have torrential downpours along that north perimeter, the water runs down behind their one facility that is not there and takes out all of my mulch, as well as comes into my yard. This was so problematic that it caused the northeast corner of my house to cave in, which I had to bring in a contractor to lift my property or my house up and have the basement walls replaced. So as they move forward in this project, I think it's a fabulous idea because that wall is deteriorating. But I would like to see a problem solved that has not been solved yet, and that is the stormwater issue.
Todd, could we put a drainage system in here connected to the storm?
Yes, we can definitely take a look at that, and we can go out and visit the site. We can meet you at your house.
Great.
Take a look
I-
down there. and
Mr.
then-
Shado, I assume you live right here?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then we can work with Jeremy on revisions to the storm
Okay.
plans and so forth.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
Should we make that a condition that they address the stormwater at the north side of the parking?
Yeah, I would just, Jeremy, are we good just to put it as work with engineering to address stormwater concerns? I think that that's the
Okay.
best way to do it, so that
Okay.
the engineers can gather, mind meld, solve the problem without defining the specific methodology to do so.
Sure.
Okay. Other questions or comments from the gallery? I'm always worried somebody's hiding from me over there. All right, other comments from the commission? Hearing none, I will make the motion because I got a couple notes here. So I will motion to approve application for site plan review SP-13-2024 filed by Blanchard Valley Hospital for reconfiguring their existing parking lot on 2923 of the Highland Addition on the north side of Pearl Street with the conditions that the photometric plans be submitted to HRPC and that they work with engineering to resolve stormwater concerns to the neighbors.
Second.
And an 8-foot fence?
How are we feeling about the 8-foot fence? Is that, I know fences can be expensive.
It's a little,
Remind me, how high is the existing brick wall?
roughly 6 feet.
Okay. And we're maintaining existing trees
Putting in new trees.
and
New
then
trees.
adding additional. Okay.
I'd be fine with keeping it at 6 feet. It's replacing existing, it meets code, and I don't think it's gonna impact the neighbors one way or another, because it's just replacing existing. But welcome other discussion.
Yeah.
I guess the only thought I had is that ground kind of slopes down, and so your fence is gonna be, the bottom of the fence maybe is maybe a foot below the parking lot or something like that, so.
Is it going in the same spot, though, that the existing
Not
wall
exactly the
is?
same spot. It's pushed back a little ways.
Push back a little bit,
Yeah.
push down the hill a little bit?
It's not really too much of a hill, but, I mean, there's a little bit of
Little bit
grade
of a
that
grade.
falls off, but nothing significant. So.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a hill in Hancock County.
Yeah.
Okay. I have the motion and second
I'll go
without
6
the
foot.
fence. Are we
Go with
cool without the fence?
Yeah.
Okay. Without the increase in fence. There will still be a 6-foot fence. Very good. All right, Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Schroeder,
Aye.
Mr. Klinger,
Aye.
Mayor Murin,
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Mr. Trombley.
Aye.
Very
Thank
good.
you very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
All right, moving to item number 5, application for final plat FP-07-2024 filed by Reingard Enterprises LLC for a roadway dedication at the end of Industrial Drive. CPC staff comments.
So this request is in the Tall Timbers 3rd Edition, just south of County Road 212. The location is not located within a 100-year floodplain, and the land use plan designates the area as industrial. Staff analysis, this roadway dedication should have been recorded with the final plat for the Tall Timbers 3rd Edition, but was mistakenly left off. This would have dedicated the cul-de-sac at the time, at the end of Industrial Drive, highlighted in red there. This would have allowed Lot 3 and Lot 4 to have the required frontage for the I-1 Light Industrial District. Staff is still supportive of the request, so CPC staff recommends approval of the application for final plat. This is a copy paste error from the staff report, but the application for final plat FP-07-2024 filed by Reingard Enterprises LLC for roadway dedication at the end of Industrial Drive.
Very good. Engineering,
No comment.
fire prevention.
No comment.
Dan?
Yeah, basically what happened is the certification for city council was on the final plat to dedicate that roadway, but for some reason it was crossed out and council never signed it, so therefore the roadway was never officially accepted. So unfortunately, we have to go back through the process again to get that accepted.
Very good. Any questions from the commission on this? Is there anyone here that wanted to speak for or against this item?
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve final plat FP-07-2024 filed by Reingard Enterprises LLC for a roadway dedication at the end of Industrial Drive. Any final discussion? Hearing none. Jacob, whenever you're ready.
All right. Mr. Klinger,
Aye.
Mayor Mearn,
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Mr. Trombley,
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Moving to item number 6, application for site plan review SP-14-2024 filed by the Woodlands of Finley Assisted Living for a 2-story building addition to their facility at 600 Fox Run Road, which will connect the existing Wing B Birch Hollow with Wing D Dogwood Knoll and Wing F Forest Hill buildings. CPC staff comments.
Okay, so this request is located on the west side of Fox Run Road, south of the intersection with Greendale Avenue. The 2 parcels are zoned M2 multifamily high density. It is in an area that has a mix of R3 small lot residential, O1 office institution, and CD condominium. West side of the site has a creek which is located in the 100-year floodplain. Personal history, there's been an assisted living community at this property since 1982. Originally the facility was constructed when it was zoned C residential, but has been moved into the M2 multifamily high density district to better align with the use. So the Woodlands of Finley are proposing a new 27,628 square foot addition to the site. This would add an additional 53 units to bring the total of the facility up to 126. This addition would be 2 stories in height and would connect the 3 buildings at the back of the site together. Meets the setback requirements of the district. This would eliminate the parking lot at the rear of the site, which accommodates 40 parking spaces. To offset the loss, they have proposed to install 16 new parking spaces on the northern parcel. So as you're coming in, there are these existing parking spaces. This dark area is where they propose new spots. This would give them a total of 56 parking spots, down from a total of 82. For the M2 district, assisted living communities are required 1 parking spot per 3 units. That would account for 42 of the spaces. There is, they would need some additional parking spaces for staff. I think we would like a little bit of clarification from the applicant to see kind of what the level of intensity is for the assistedness of the facility. How many staff would be required at peak to help calculate that that number of required spots. With the reduction of spots and the increase of units, staff had concerns that there was insufficient parking available to accommodate the growth of the facility. It should be stated that this facility has changed owners over the years, and if the assisted living use were to discontinue, this facility would need to significantly adjust its parking provided off-street. Because of the assisted living parking standards are less restricted than other uses seen in the M2 district. So when the site was originally constructed, it did not have a formal site plan for approval. It was zoned C residential district, which did not have requirements for lot coverage at the time. The existing conditions of the site are above the 40% lot coverage that is allowed in the M2 district, which is about 45%. This expansion would further push the limit for the lot coverage and would require a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals for approval of the site plan. So staff recommendation, actually, before I get to that, I did receive a number of neighbors contacting me about the site. Just generally, they were displeased at the appearance of the site. There were concerns about the number of parking spaces. They had some concerns about the proposed detention area. One condition that staff didn't have in our packet, but I think we would like to recommend, is with the expansion, we would like to see an additional fence installed along the south boundary to help screen this little cul-de-sac neighborhood from the facility. This neighborhood was constructed after this, and so at the time there wasn't a need for fencing, but with the expansion, we would like to see some fencing installed to help with screening. So let me go ahead, Matt.
There was one pretty critical item that was not included in the staff report. This was a busy month. We've had 12 items, and I hate to bring up a shocker in the middle of a meeting, but one of the issues is, as it sits right now, it exceeds the density that's permitted, which is fine, it's grandfathered in. Upon expansion, it needs to meet the current standards. So with their proposal, it's 1 unit for every 3,500 square feet of site. With 126 units, they would need almost 10 acres of land to meet our density, and they're currently only at 5 acres. So it almost doubles the permitted density that is allowed. I thought that would be a critical factor for the board to consider. And honestly, Jacob, I'm not sure what your recommendation is, but with knowing that it almost doubles the permitted density permitted by the code, I think staff's recommendation would be that to deny is that's just too dense for what our code. If Planning Commission did want to move forward, they would need to get a variance for the density from the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Thank you. I appreciate that information. As I was reading through the report, looking at the site, looking at the proposal, I was a little surprised that the note was recommending approval. I agree. I think that this is already too dense for this neighborhood. I think that, what I tell folks all the time is I always want people to be able to maximize the utilization of their property, but it can't negatively impact the surrounding properties. And I think that this has been a little bit of a problem child already in the past with parking, when we've talked to other people about the issues. And so I think that an additional expansion, it's not something that I would be able to support, because I do think that it just creates additional problems, I think, for a variety of reasons. And I guess I didn't go to engineering and fire prevention. I think both of your comments were pretty general, not anything too exciting. But I would have concerns about if that parking lot was full and you had those buildings, that's going to have some pretty tough access back in there as well. So with that, we kind of jumped around. Engineering, do you want to go through your comments real quick?
I'll just keep it short real quick. They're relocating the water line because where the new building's going to be going is right where the existing one is. So they're going to be relocating a water line, relocating a hydrant as part of that. There will be an additional sanitary tap. One of the things because this is increasing impervious area, a lot of it's already underneath a impervious area as it is now, but with additional parking and all that kind of stuff. I know one of the emails we received was concerned with what the condition of that detention pond is right now. The city really doesn't have anything that we go back out and check what the detention ponds are. That's the property owner's responsibility to make sure if it's supposed to hold so much water, it always maintains that. But with this project, and they have to expand this, they're going to be reworking that whole thing. So it will be almost to a new, or it will have what it needs to be holding within that. But we have received their detention calcs. It does adhere to our standards for that. But really, if this goes through, we'll just need to make sure we have the proper permits beforehand.
Fire prevention.
We just want to make sure there are proper permits are for construction and then all inspections throughout the process.
Thank you. So with the information, staff recommends denial of application, correct? Would that be correct? Okay. Application for site plan review SP-14-2024 filed by the Woodlands of Finley Assisted Living for a 2-story building addition to their facility at 600 Fox Run Road, which will connect the existing Wing B Birch Hollow with Wing D Dogwood Knoll and Wing F Forest Hill buildings with the following. That's buildings, period. Discussion.
If I may. Given all of the concerns that we've heard here from staff, we're wondering if we might be able to hear the concerns from the neighbors and then table this so that we could maybe regroup and look for a path going forward and meet with staff and so forth. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, that would
Right.
be fine. I think
Absolutely.
we have a couple
Appreciate
of the neighborhood members that were sworn in. Would anyone like to come forward and just kind of outline the neighborhood's concerns? I'm not sure if you guys were able to hear what Todd just mentioned, that what they'd like to do is hear from you all. They've heard some of our concerns. Then we'll table or look at tabling. You guys can reconvene, and then if they would like to come back, if they think that they could have worked something out, they can do so for the commission's discussion. So if you could come forward and introduce yourself and give your address, and then we'll go from there.
I'm Robert Roos. My mother lives at 5 Hunters Gate. I don't live here now, but if you need that address, I can.
Can you, is the microphone on? Does it have a red light on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll come down closer. So I think the concerns have been mentioned by staff and engineering. Really 4 different areas, from my opinion. The detention, making sure that it's maintained, you're making it larger, you're bringing it closer to the property, there's no protection. It was not mentioned that in fact this is R1 to the south, so we've got M2, to me looks like spot zoning, but I can't go back on that. So you have M2, high density, you're making it more, you're trying to squeeze in parking. If you take away this from being an assisted living, the parking dramatically increases to, instead of 1 space per 3 units, you got 2 spaces per unit. So there's no comparison in terms of what the parking would have to be. It goes to the lot coverage because you're already exceeding the 40%, and so where would that parking go down the road if there was a change as well? And as well, the screening, pretty much non-existent in certain areas along the south. The existing screening is, for the most part, just on the neighbors' properties, so our properties, and not on the applicants' properties. I walked back there this morning. Maybe at one point there was some that has died. There's stumps that are down. I have a photograph, for example, from my mom's property. You can look straight through. I mean, it's right there. There's no screening at all. So at the very least, we'd like to see a fence. I know the code says 6 foot. Mr. Klinger, I appreciate your 8-foot comment for the hospital, which also is near and dear to my heart. So we would at least like to see a 8-foot fence along the south side. So thank you so much. Any questions?
Was there other neighborhood members that wanted to cover anything that Mr. Roos didn't touch on?
Got one coming.
Yep, if you can come forward and please introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Ben Franz. I live at 3 Hunters Gate. I want to thank the Commission for the opportunity to speak here this morning about this. Mr. Roos made a couple points, and I appreciate the staff's comments here this morning as well. Just to highlight a couple other points, I think for our part, the concerns with the development are the significant increase in density that it sounds like that's been pointed out. I think as we're looking at the greater Fox Run neighborhood here, we see in the entrance to the neighborhood, There's commercial use. The site as it exists today really functions as a transition from that higher density commercial use at the entrance to the neighborhood until you get to the single family residential, further into the neighborhood. And increasing, especially with a 2-story addition, I think that's going to be, it's impossible from these plans to see how high that is. That information was not available, so it's difficult to assess how tall that would be, and in particular on the properties that abut the woodlands, what the change in elevation is going to be. And in particular, just to jump around a bit, I guess staying on the point, as it exists today, it functions as a nice transition. So an increase in density there is going to be a little jarring. You're going to have, this more intense use next to the residential use in the entrance to the neighborhood. The comment's been made about parking. That is certainly a concern. Parking is allowed along Fox Run Road in that area. However, you have driveways for the commercial properties at the entrance. You also have the driveways to the couple of condominium neighborhoods that are right along that stretch. So that is kind of a traffic stretch to get in and out of the neighborhood. It's also popular in the morning with people walking their dogs, children waiting for the bus. Having a lot of parking in that area, especially on both sides of the street, would really increase the congestion, going to be a little bit of a safety concern in that kind of heavily residential corridor. Kind of going to the screening concept, I think in particular for the property in the back corner of the Hunter's Gate neighborhood, that's going to be most affected by the new 2-story addition and the parking in the back. There will have to be lighting of some sort, I'm assuming, on the outside of those buildings, and making sure that lighting is not shining out back into the neighborhood. The type of screening, a fence, whether it be 6 or 8 feet, is not going to help with security lighting on the 2nd story of a 2-story addition. As was mentioned, all the vegetative screening is on the side of the residential properties. So I maybe propose, either in addition to or other than a fence that may be 6 or 8 feet tall, that vegetative screening may be more appropriate in that area. Perhaps some evergreen screening, especially in that back corner, because as we here in the Midwest, the leaves fall. That's when the days are the shortest and the lights are on the most, when you need that screening. And just one final point is a little bit about the process here. We as neighbors really did not get a lot of notice for this. I know the code requires 14 days, but we got the postcard about 9 days out and had the staff report, and we appreciate Mr. Mercer providing the staff report. But that was only 3 days ahead of today's meeting, so that was very little time to be able to look at this, assess, and really provide meaningful comments. So just a suggestion, perhaps, for the city's process to provide a little bit more notice for immediate neighbors, and also a suggestion for applicants to maybe proactively reach out to neighbors that are immediately abutting. We'd have been happy to talk with you before today. Might have eliminated a surprise here today, but we're happy to talk with you as well, and don't feel like we need to do it here today. I think a little proactive outreach would help in making people feel like there's nothing that's being hidden or there's nothing trying to be pulled over on them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. One note for the applicant, I am not at all in favor of a 2-story structure here. Obviously, I'm not the only commission member, but I think that would, we talk about it being obtrusive. I'm concerned about it in general. I think you guys are going to have to get pretty creative, and I would really have to hear from the neighborhood that they would be on board before I'd be comfortable with really any expansion. But I think the 2-story is too obtrusive. It's going to impede the privacy of the neighborhood, and I think right now, as it stands, it does provide a little bit of that kind of buffer into the neighborhood as it stands, but I think that would be too much for that area. So just a note for you to consider as you work through things. Other questions or comments from the audience? Other comments from the commission?
Yeah,
members?
I would like to hear a little more about the assisted living facility. How assisted is it going to be? What's the staff? How many people are going to be working there? Maybe give a little color on that.
So currently we are a Medicaid waiver facility. We got our Medicaid license back in July of this year. So currently we have 20 residents in our facility. We are planning to be filled by Halloween. So working with AAA 3 and 4 in this area, they've already, in the hospital as well, they have built us a list of everyone that they plan on moving into that facility, because the housing crisis, shortage, where people can go. Anyone that's on the AL waiver, there's no facilities around here. So with our staffing, we are fully staffed. We do plan on having nurses on each hall. So I think with a full capacity, even with the new addition, I think it looks at about 12 staff members plus kitchen staff that will rotate throughout a 12-hour period. So this, I think our max parking we could utilize would be 10 on the staffing.
If you could say that again, so 12 staff plus
12
kitchen.
12, so 14 max.
14 max,
Yes,
okay.
and that would be split between 2 different shifts.
Okay.
Some of us are, my spouse is our director of nursing, so we
Yeah.
ride together. A couple people in the kitchen, they ride together, so it eliminates that parking for them.
So 10 max on one
Yes.
shift is what your plan
Yes.
is. Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
All right. So based off of the discussion, I will motion to table application for site plan review SP-14-2024 filed by the Woodlands of Finley Assisted Living for a 2-story building addition to their facility at 600 Fox Run Road, which will connect the existing Wing B Birch Hollow with Wing D Dogwood Knoll and Wing F Forest Hill buildings.
I would like to echo Mayor Murin's comments as well. Of this, even at a 1-story, feels like a big increase of use and density, I should say. So I appreciate your willingness to talk with the neighborhood and try to come up with a solution. But there's a lot of potential problems with this that I think you're going to have to address.
Second. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Mayor Murin.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Trombley.
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder.
Aye.
Mr. Klinger.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, item number 7, application for site plan review SP-15-2024 filed by Somerset Plaza Inc. for a 120-unit second phase of Covington Green apartment complex located at 2111 Milestone Drive. CPC staff comments.
This request is located between Milestone Drive and Bluestone Drive. The site is zoned M2 multifamily high density. To the south and east, it is zoned C2 general commercial. To the west, it's zoned CD condominium. To the north, it is zoned R2 medium lot residential. It is not located within a 100-year floodplain, and the City of Findlay land use plan designates the area as multifamily. Parcel history. So this is the southern half of the property known as Covington Green apartment complex. The original apartments were approved by Planning Commission in February of 2004. The plans were approved with the condition of construction of an all-weather access road to County Road 236, and at the time, the parcel was zoned PUD and therefore did not have an issue with their density. In September of 2018, they did, I guess before I say that, when they applied originally, this was phase 1 and this was phase 2, and it was all included as part of the application. So this isn't the first time they've brought these plans forward anyways. So later in September of 2018, they did receive a variance from the Finley BZA regarding lot coverage. They analyzed that for phase 2, they would be over the maximum lot coverage by about 5% if they included all the required parking at the time. The standard at the time was 3 spaces per unit. They were granted a variance on lot coverage, which has since expired. So staff analysis, the applicant is proposing to implement the second phase of Covington Green apartment complex. This plan is the same as the original second phase that was submitted with the application back in February of 2004. The buildings would match the existing look of the first phase, and the buildings would have that required foundation plantings, parking lot landscaping, and would meet the setbacks for the district. With the variance that was reviewed in 2018, the applicant at the time was required to add an additional 87 parking spaces in their plan. Those would be the ones in the red around the edges of the facility. The parking requirement since then has shifted back down to 2 spaces per unit plus 1 spot per every 5 units for visitor parking. For this 120 phase, or 120 unit phase. That would require 264 spaces total. Current amount provided is in the drawing is 344. So I think our staff recommends that if the additional parking would cause the project to be over the lot coverage, then we would recommend they remove that additional parking spaces, and then they wouldn't need to go for the variance with the BZA. So staff recommends approval of application for site plan review SP-15-2024 filed by Somerset Plaza Inc. for 120 unit second phase of Covington Green apartment complex located at 2111 Milestone Drive with the following condition: reduce that amount of parking down to 264 parking spaces.
Engineering.
So access is from the private roadway that's going through there that's already been constructed. A lot of the utilities has already been constructed as part of phase one. So really, like the water line, what they'd be doing is tapping new services off of that. We'll work with the applicant on it. The one question I kind of have with water services, especially with these type of facilities, is do they want one master for each building, or do we need a meter for each living quarter? So, my number could go from 5 or it could be tripled, but we'll work on that as we're going through on how many meters we'll be needing for it. Same with the sanitary line, pretty much just going to be tapping off the existing main lines there right now. The drainage for this property, since this was constructed and approved prior to the 2004, prior to our existing detention requirements, they are upsizing the existing pond to meet our standards today for that. So they submitted the calculations with that. They've been working with my department to get those calculations and all the requirements for that. So the pond will be expanded, and that will meet our requirement for the site that it stands today.
Fire prevention.
We'd like to see an additional fire hydrant at the northeast corner of building number 7. We feel like that area is a little deficient for coverage. And other than that, just permits and inspections through the process.
Thank you. So the recommendation before the commission is staff recommends approval of the application for site plan review SP-15-2024 filed by Somerset Plaza Inc. for 120 unit second phase of Covington Green apartment complex located at 2111 Milestone Drive with the following conditions: reduce the amount of parking to 264 and add one additional fire hydrant at the northeast corner of building number 7. Discussion. Is the applicant here to speak on this item? If you guys could come forward. You could please introduce yourselves.
Good morning. My name is Alyssa Taylor. I'm a project manager with Miller Diversified Construction. We are the construction manager for Somerset Plaza Inc., the owner of the property here. Greg Feller with Feller Finch Associates is the civil engineer on the project. He's here to answer any questions that the board or neighbors may have as well. I would just briefly like to say thanks for listening to our case here today, and we would ask that you approve as recommended by the staff.
Very good. Questions from the commission?
So you want the lower parking amount? I guess that's my question. Did
yes.
you want 344? Did you want 264?
Yes, we thought that was good news, so we would eliminate.
Okay.
I think to get to the 264 total, we would just keep that little red triangle at the top, and that would get us to the lower total amount that we now need.
So all the rest on that outside red area, that's
Correct.
what you would
Yep, we would eliminate that.
And just a little context, we did change the code because we consistently saw and received feedback like this is way too much parking, and so just want to give a little context that we're definitely comfortable with it.
Yep.
Good. Can you talk me through, I didn't see, and maybe I'm just missing it, that happens sometimes, planting plans for this area, and I have a lot of pages here, so
Yeah, sorry.
you can point me to which. Excuse me.
Might have been they might not be in this civil packet, but
Okay.
they were in a additional packet.
Okay, can you just, we don't have to look at the specifics, but can you just kind of talk me through the general
Yeah,
planting plan
yep.
for the property?
Yep, we did submit a landscape plan, and fortunately, I made a couple notes here before I came today, but we're proposing to add 32 maple trees throughout the site, so mostly like on the perimeter, on the east and west. It is wooded to the south there, and oh, okay. So let's see if I can do this correctly. So along this side here, and then on this side, and then kind of like scattered throughout. I think they had one at each of the four corners of the building. And then the second sheet of the landscape plan, when you do get a chance to look at it, it shows all of the required foundation plantings, which is over like 1,000 plants. But between you know, the juniper bushes and the sweet gum trees and the reed grasses, we'll get the coverage on the foundation plantings that's required in code.
We do like our landscaping.
Yeah, I think it'll be a nice looking site.
We did, one of the residents who lives in this area stopped by our office, who could not be in today. A former local architect in the area, so he understands this process. He did have, they do experience some, there's a drain here, I believe, and this kind of backs up, and in the wet weather times of the year, even now, there's some, it's damp, and it's very dry out. But they do experience backing up into this area. So when we're looking at this project, he requested that if something could be taken a look at, because it just doesn't drain like he feels like it should be draining.
Do we know the size of pipe that's in that area? Is it properly sized, or is it just needing cleaned?
His thought was it didn't feel like there was enough grade to actually get to the pipe.
Drain it. Okay.
It is wooded, so it's probably a wetland of some sort. But so I wanted to bring that issue up. Jeremy did discuss it with the resident, and when I mentioned it, I heard someone kind of nod their head. So I think we'll hear more about this issue in a minute.
Is that something you guys can take a look at and look at either regrading that area, or maybe adding a second, maybe there needs to be a second drain spot, depending on, because if it's wooded, you're not necessarily going to want to go in and regrade it, because you'd have to just remove a lot of the plants.
Right.
But maybe there's an opportunity to add in based off of, could add another storm outlet there or something.
Yeah, I think we can take a look at that and see what the situation is and how much standing water, you know, is there and where is it coming from and trying to go to. Just to be high level on that answer.
Yeah.
But yes.
Okay. I believe we did have another gentleman that wanted to speak. Is that correct? You want to come forward? If you could introduce yourself, please.
I'm Mike Senior, 2100 Bluestone Drive. I'm right there at the corner of Bluestone and Milestone. I'm not against the apartments. I think Finley needs more housing. That's great. I'm concerned about the after effects of the doubling of traffic on the streets. Bluestone is between Milestone and Manor Hill is allowed parking on one side of the street. When that happens, there's no two-way traffic allowable. If we double the number of cars to the apartments, then we're going to have a lot of holdup on Bluestone Drive. Also, Manor Hill is used as a shortcut between Fostoria and Bright, and the people drive it at least 35 when it's 25. So getting out from Bluestone onto Milestone can be a little bit tricky. Again, double the number of cars, it's going to get pretty bad. Well, not to mention that no one ever stops at the intersection of Bluestone and Milestone, but that's in general. The water itself is not an effect on my property, but I do know that when there's heavy rain, the northwest corner is covered, it's a small pond. Not in the woods itself, actually on the parking lot. So there is some drainage problems there. But I'm more concerned about the traffic than I am with the apartments. Yes, find a place for people to live, good.
When you see people parking on Bluestone, that area, and it causes congestion, where are the folks coming from that are parking on the street?
Well, residents can park on the street as well, and currently someone's doing some construction, a deck on the outside of their condominium, and there has been a construction trailer parked there for 2 weeks. So, yeah, they need it, I know, but it's
So it's just
irritating.
it's just more residential parking. You're not
Yes.
seeing people coming and parking there from.
No,
you know,
no.
Okay,
That's
I
not-
just want to
that's
make
not it.
sure because figure out if there's things we can do to help alleviate that a little bit. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Questions from the commission?
The drawing showed sewer and water up here. That was was that just the carryover from the original submittal? Okay, so there's no work going on up there.
Yeah, so all the sewer and water for both phases was constructed as part of phase 1.
Okay.
So if you go out there, you'll see hydrants that are kind of sticking out of the ground now.
Was there anyone else in the audience that wanted to speak? If you can come forward and please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jamie Miller. I'm just going to reiterate what he just elaborated on. So, yeah, the problem, I don't know where the highlighter went, but up in the
She liked it.
yeah, up here, I guess I just hold it. This corner right here is, like he was saying, this street right here gets a lot of traffic. Bluestone, which is actually this street up here, that's a real parking problem up here. The houses, they've jammed the houses in so small, and then you've got houses living in here with 3 or 4 drivers. It could be teens, could be, they're parking on the driveway 2 cars deep, and they're blocking the sidewalks. We have a lot of walkers up in this area, elderly people, because it's such a high residential area, and there is a lot of older folks in the condominiums, me included. That's not biased, but a lot of walkers, dog walkers, even people from the apartment complex come walking through. There's no sidewalks here they all stop right here. We don't have any sidewalks, and I don't have any problem with the apartment complex. It's the traffic as well. Is there any way, even when you go out to the east? There's, I think, only one road. I don't know if I can get. This is the only road coming in, and that's this road and that road. That's the only egress and exit that's there. And this is a problem because everybody in the neighborhood back in this area, all to the east towards 236, I know people back there, and I see them coming out this way all the time. And you got all the people on Bluestone. This is a really heavy area, and this, I can't remember, I think that's Bluestone there as well. That's a very busy road. There's that's highly residential, a lot of condominiums, older folks, and kids in school buses, because a lot of this is Van Buren School District. So walkers, kids, older folks walking, and parking I don't think would be an issue either. It's just coming in and coming out. This is going to get hit all the time. I mean, you might as well put a roundabout there, because that's the problem I see there. And it's not a very wide road, no sidewalks. Okay. And this road here actually comes up to a stop. And then it's the southern part of where the Ashley furniture is, everything else. And then they have to come around and they turn and go to another stop, and then they go out the main entrance. There's kind of 2 main entrances. Right. It'd be better if there was, I don't know what they would do, but with all that extra traffic, these are just more like, these roads have been fine for all this, but when you double that, these roads don't seem really equipped for the extra traffic. It's not enough of a straight shot out. If you could enhance the egress to 236, where you've got a 4-lane road, I think that would really help alleviate not just traffic in just this area, but Bluestone and the whole neighborhood back here. So it's just that they're too casual of an entrance road and exit roads for the amount of traffic this neighborhood's getting overall, not just the apartments, but overall. But that's the only, so just a
No, that's really helpful.
Okay, thank you.
I always appreciate when folks have well thought out recommendations or
Yeah.
observations.
Is it
Don't
ju-
just come and yell at me.
Yeah, 236 being the main, but the 4-lane highway, it just needs a better egress, needs better
Can
entrance
we
and
pull up
exit.
Google Maps real quick? And then we just reviewed and approved some changes, because there's gonna be some additional construction going out by Ashley Furniture. I don't think that there was any roadway modifications though with that.
That was being dedicated though, that road.
Yeah, it
was being
was-
dedicated up
yeah.
to, I don't know how far.
Yeah, but that'll
Pretty
be,
much to the end of Ashley Furniture, and then I think it turns into pretty much Millstone within that area is all then private.
You can see how casual these entrances are here. And the and I agree with my neighbor. This bluestone's terrible. You really, if you had to get a fire truck down there in the middle of the day, forget it, or an ambulance. And we have a lot of elderly seniors living back here. But there's too many people trying to live in these small houses. The driveways aren't big enough and the garages aren't big enough. Both sides of the road are parked on. We really either need to get to a parking on just one side of the road, but parking on both sides, you can barely fit a car through there. And if there was a fire in any of these homes here, it'd be a mess. Landscapers do park there a lot, and over here on these roads here. This is Manor Hill. Always landscapers, always lawnmowers, constant equipment, which is good because people are taking care of their homes. But it really blocks the streets off. I stepped off the street because I'm an old guy and I do stuff like that, and I'm retired. 25 feet wide, I guess, is about the standard width, but it just doesn't seem to be enough when there's parking on both sides of the street to let normal. It's definitely not a 2-lane traffic, 2-lane road.
No, as you were talking, and I've heard it, definitely in my head, I'm like, our engineering department, street department has to have that conversation about, we need to make sure it's a safe ingress, egress for public safety, as well as the traveling public. So I made excuse me, I'm stuttering. I made a mental note that we will look into that to see if it makes sense to eliminate one side of parking.
And I know I'm bringing up it's really nothing on their concern as far as the apartments. It's just the city streets really is more the concern.
yeah, no, well, we
So-
definitely want to look at the whole area and make modifications preemptively if possible.
Sure.
Can you zoom in? I'm trying to look. I don't know if we have enough space for a roundabout at that intersection.
And I was kind of being facetious there, but
Well-
yeah, but it
Well-
wouldn't necessarily be a terrible idea.
Well, yeah, I don't think we have a space, and you don't tempt me with a good time, but there are some other road modifications that we may be able to make there to help slow traffic and get people to follow the rules and help with that. On the plan, so we'll get back to the site plan.
Oh yeah, and
The-
my last word, just inclining people towards 236 is the first thing that pops in my head, and is to make that segue, that inclination that they'll more easily want to go out that way than the back
Yeah.
way. So
Nope, I
that's
think
one
that makes sense for sure. Within this development, do we have sidewalks being installed? I don't see them on the plans. We do? Okay. Do you know which page of the plans those are shown on? Is that actually maybe
It-
on?
It's pretty similar to what they have on phase 1. Jake, can you zoom in? Yeah, you see how they kind of have that. That's what the phase 2 looks like as
Yep.
well.
Okay, so it's along the buildings
It's along the
primarily.
curbs, and then the lead walks up to the building entries, yeah.
And those are connecting into the existing sidewalks of the neighborhood?
Well, Milestone Drive is a private road. It does not have sidewalks, but so just within the new, development of the new apartment units, you'll have those sidewalks similar to what's shown there. Like just around the buildings, really.
Yeah, I think I would like to
I don't
see
see-
connectivity of the sidewalks up the roadway to the neighborhood.
If you go to the front page, you can
Yeah.
see them.
Yeah,
You
but
can see them. They're on there.
They're just little,
They're little. Yeah.
little baby.
Now, I know on Milestone Drive, there's speed bumps, I think maybe a pair of them. Are you planning on keeping those, doing anything to help slow traffic down? 'Cause I know a lot of people use that as a
As like
passway
a cut through
36.
Anything that's there now, we would not be removing. We don't have plans to add any more at this time.
The speed bumps are no longer there. They removed them.
Oh, they did? Okay. All right. Thank you.
So I think from my perspective, we have some things that probably engineering and the city need to just talk to the property owners in that area to look at overall traffic flow and safety in that area.
And stormwater.
Yep. So I think for this site plan, what I currently have noted is that we would reduce the amount of parking to 264, add an additional fire hydrant at the northeast corner of Building 7, work with engineering to address stormwater issues. And then the other notes are mainly for us. Am I missing anything from the commission standpoint? Was there anyone else in the audience that wanted to speak for or against this item? Yeah, if you could come forward and introduce yourself, please.
My name is Jim Stevens, and I have a house right there. And in the back, and where that road comes around here, the drainage is just terrible. I have in the back of my yard, it comes on a slant, obviously. And the water comes from this area right in here, and this road right here. In fact, we get a heavy downpour. The water stands in there, and it's really bad. In fact, right there where I live, I usually have at least 3 times a year. I have ducks and geese. They come swimming around. Unfortunately, we can't make it into a pond to swim in it, but definitely something has to be done in that area. And I would like to add to the gentleman that was talking about traffic. It's really getting bad. Bluestone Drive it's a racetrack. Because they're cutting through there, which I know you can't do anything about that, but I think you had a good idea there. Where cutting down parking on both sides, because it's getting really bad, and we got a lot of kids on that road, and it's not healthy. Okay, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. With that, I will motion to approve application for site plan review SP-15-2024 filed by Somerset Plaza Inc. for a 120-unit second phase of Covington Green apartment complex located at 2111 Milestone Drive with the following conditions. Reduce the amount of parking to 264 spots, add 1 additional fire hydrant at the northeast corner of building number 7, and work with engineering to address stormwater issues.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any final discussion? Hearing none. Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Trombley?
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder?
Aye.
Mr. Klinger?
Aye.
Mayor Barron?
Aye. Very good. Thank you. Moving on to item number 8, application for final plat FP-08-2024 filed by Rocky 5 Investments for the replat of Lot 4 of the Finley Village Mall subdivision. CPC staff comments.
Sorry, I'll let people shuffle out real quick. All right. So this request is located on the north side of Totton Avenue, east of Plaza Street and west of Croy Drive. It's zone C2 general commercial. To the south and southeast and west, it's zone C2. To the north, it's zoned R4 duplex triplex. It is not located within a 100-year floodplain, and the land use plan designates the area as regional commercial. Parcel history. Our last replat of the mall site occurred in March of 2021, which divided it into 5 smaller lots. River Rock Property Group are proposing to subdivide the Finley Village Mall Lot 4 into 3 new lots. Lot 8 would be the main part of the mall site. Thank you. And parking lot on Totton Avenue measuring 7.575 acres. Lot 9 would be the rear of the mall that is remaining, plus the parking lots at the rear of the site measuring 21.064 acres. Lot 10 is the current site of that Tokyo Steakhouse that would be remaining and would measure about 0.212 acres in size. There's a small easement from this lot to the Michaels building on Lot 3. When this was previously platted, those offices for Michaels were not included in Lot 3, so that's why they're continuing to use an easement with this replat. So staff recommendation, CPC staff recommends approval of application for final plat FP-08-2024 filed by Rocky 5 Investments for the replat of Lot 4 of the Finley Village Mall subdivision. So sorry for the error on the staff analysis for the wrong property name, but it's Rocky 5 Investments.
Very good. Engineering?
No concerns.
Fire prevention?
No comment.
All right, so this is the final plat review. We will get into the site plan next. So staff recommends approval of the application for final plat FP-08-2024 filed by Rocky 5 Investments for replat of Lot 4 of the Finley Village Mall. Discussion. Eric?
The main reason is the large box retail store that's going in at Lot 8. They just want to own their own property is the main reason for doing it. So.
Very good.
So what are you doing for shared parking for Lot 10? How are those easements worked? How much parking is provided for them?
We'll have an easement or something with the property owners to share parking. So.
Okay.
Was there anyone here that wanted to speak for or against this item?
And Carrie, I think during the 2021 replat, they instituted those reciprocal parking agreements already.
Yeah, there's.
I figured they would have. The question was just
reciprocal ones.
Right.
Yeah.
When we're looking at parking requirements for big box retail, we would want to include also the Tokyo Steakhouse as well to make sure there's parking for both. So, thank you.
Given this is a pretty straightforward plat, I will motion to approve application for final plat FP-08-2024.
Second.
Any discussion? Jacob?
Mr. Trombley?
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder?
Aye.
Mr. Klinger?
Aye.
Mayor Murin?
Aye.
And Mr. Martin?
Aye.
All right, moving to item number 9, application for site plan review SP-16-2024 filed by Rocky 5 Investments for a new 131,809 square foot retail box store at the Finley Village Mall, 1800 Tiffin Avenue. CPC staff comments.
Okay, so the request is located on that Lot 8 of the Finley Village Mall subdivision that we just looked at. I'll skip kind of through the general information since I just read through it. Parcel history. This is the current main entrance for the mall site. So staff analysis. Rocky 5 Investments is proposing to demolition of the existing 188,000 square foot structure on Lot 8 to build a new 131,809 square foot retail store on that site. This new retail space would bring back the front facade of the building to better align with the runnings to the east on Lot 5. The demolition would create separation of this new retail building from the Dunhams and the Michaels to the west. That would leave room for a 20-foot drive aisle and 44 additional parking spaces on the west side of the the site. The newly open space in the front allows for them to keep a consistent drive aisle in front of the building with the running site. They would provide 406 total parking spaces for the store, which is above the minimum required 351 for the C2 district. Second row from the east side will have some spots dedicated for online pickup, and that is becoming a kind of a standard feature for these big box retail stores. Staff has met with the applicant several times over the past few months, have been able to work through several issues regarding the site. They shifted their entrance of the site to the west to align the driveway, the drive aisle across the street. They provided a green strip buffer to approximately match the strip that was installed with the raising canes. They're working with staff regarding the drive aisle of the drive on the west side of the building to accommodate fire and engineering, which they have. They're also working with staff to coordinate on signage for the site and will be on the BZA agenda for a Pine Lawn sign variance. Staff is supportive of that request due to the consolidation of the signage on site and the uniqueness of the project. So staff recommendation, CPC staff recommends approval of the application for site plan review SP-16-2024 filed by Rocky 5 Investments for a new 131,809 square foot retail big box store at the Finley Village Mall, 1800 Tiffin Avenue.
Engineering.
So like Jake was saying, we worked with them to shift that drive entrance down to the west a little bit more, that way to give a little bit more separation from the new sheets that's over here, drive over here in the intersection. So that should help alleviate some of the density that you see coming in and out of that area. With the facade going back or the building going back, there will be reworking some water lines within this area. And then ultimately the new service and fire connection is going to be up here by the truck docks. The one thing I missed, but just a quick add, just want to have isolation valves on the fire and the domestic. I know that's kind of our standard, but just make sure it's shown on the plans. Stormwater, they're not increasing any impervious area on this, so they don't have to meet with that, but really good with the site, just need to have permits before construction.
Fire prevention.
No issues with the site plan, just permits and inspections.
Very good. So the recommendation before the commission, staff recommends approval of application for site plan review SP-16-2024 filed by Rocky 5 Investments for a new 131,809 square foot retail big box store at the Finley Village Mall located at 1800 Tiffin Avenue. I am just making the one note of the isolation valves. Discussion. Eric, can you tell us about this project, please?
Basically, it's going to be a large box retail store. They have a prototype that fits in that area, so that's kind of why we've added the parking in the drive between Michael's and the new store. Yeah, they're going to have about 12 drop-off spots. I mean, there's tearing out the middle and keeping runnings and everything to the east, west, and then the north. So.
I know, as Jacob mentioned, appreciate the proposed tenant, and yourself working with us to kind of address questions, comments, concerns to try to make this work. Overall, I think the layout that we have achieved works really well. I think it cleans up the flow of traffic through that parking lot. I really appreciate the willingness to shift that entrance to create safer entrance and exit on Tiffin Avenue, given that's a high traffic area and has been an area of concern, and aligning the drive aisles. I think that works really well. So overall, I'm really supportive of this. I think seeing some new life breathed into the mall will be really beneficial, or into that property. And it's something that our community has been looking for quite a while. So from my perspective, we've worked for a while to get here, and so I'm glad to see it reaching this point.
We've also been in talks with Wood County Buildings Inspection. They're already aware of this. We've been to Board of Building Appeals, and they've approved the size and location of it. So,
questions from the commission?
What did you go to the Board of Appeals for?
We were originally trying for an unlimited building, but because we don't have 60 feet around it, it's 80 feet between like the Lot 3 buildings and the new building. But at the front by Tokyo, it's only about 38 feet. And up at where it meets the J.C. Penney's, it's about 28 feet there. So we weren't able to meet the 60-foot. They wouldn't allow that, but they did approve the increased size of the building for its classification.
Okay.
Eric, can you speak to what's going on between this building and the remainder of the mall site? Is it just being closed off then, or?
Yeah, they're we're not 100% sure what they're all doing with the back portion, but there won't be any entrances other than like the front entrance and emergency exits into the new retail space. There's not gonna be any connection to the existing mall. They're using tilt up concrete panels, so it'll be 3-hour wall all the way around it. They are putting a new utility corridor right there to the north that's going to be shared between the existing mall and the new retail space.
So all this, any retail in here has no connection to the outside then?
I'm really not sure at the moment how much retail space they're going to have in there. They're talking about some using as some storage, that kind of thing.
So this is all new wall on the backside, then that's
Yep,
that's
the new retail space is going to have its own exterior walls, and then we're beside it putting a new wall for the existing mall space.
Okay, I'm not real clear back here. There's the fire valves all back there. Are those being taken out?
They're going to have to be relocated.
Okay,
that's where they are for majority of the mall.
That's what I wanted.
5 risers there.
Okay, and there's also a transformer there that'll be relocated, I assume?
Yep, and then there's going to be a new transformer there for the retail space, a generator, and then their docks.
Okay. The storm under here, are you trying to capture some additional storm water under the paving of the truck dock?
So there's an existing storm line, those dashed lines you can kind of see to the right, goes under the existing mall. So we're resizing them a little bit under the truck docks to be able to get the dock clearance. But as far as I know, we're maintaining those.
Okay, are you dropping the dock, the truck dock area?
Yeah, it'll be 4 foot.
Okay. What happens here, I guess, and nobody knows what the future is, especially since you're not sure what's going on in there, but your service truck access here is when there's parking back there, it's going to be hampered if there is parking back there.
Yeah, we're looking at that right now. We'll probably end up losing some of that parking back there for truck turns and that kind of thing. So.
Okay. Then also with your traffic flow up here, will there be some signage up here, stop signs and that sort of thing?
Yeah, they'll have stop signs near the crosswalk area, and then the area where they cross for the pickup.
Yeah, because now you're taking this traffic down here, you're making a sharp left-hand turn, then a sharp right-hand turn. So I think that's going to have to be looked at pretty closely.
Yeah, we can work with staff to make sure for stop signs and stuff.
And then also on lot, what is that, lot 1 or something down here?
Yeah.
You're redoing their parking lot too then?
We're
part of this?
We're gonna restripe it in their area because that way it just flows better with everything.
And you're not repaving it?
I think we're repaving that also.
Resurfacing? Okay.
We're just milling and resurfacing.
Okay. And then I'd like to see my planted islands that we gave up on the hospital. I think there ought to be some islands along here, and then some islands along here. Maybe even not with every row, but landscape islands will at least kind of direct people to either go straight or make a turn versus cutting across the parking lot.
We are hoping not to have to put any islands because the rest of the mall really doesn't have any currently. So we're kind of trying to keep with how it was existing.
But this is a new venture.
So we've been working on this a while, and I was a champion for putting the islands in the code. The the developer, we had conversations about this, and really, they are at, the end user had to almost make special considerations to consider this site with this exact amount of parking. And the concern is the reduction of 5-10 spots is they're already below what their corporate level is. And so there's just concerns about endangering the project if we take away 5-10 spaces.
Oh. Well, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a game of poker, I suppose,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, we tried to maximize the amount of spaces in there for them, so.
No, there's a little striped island right here. I don't know if there's anything that could be done there, or maybe in this little spot right
That
here,
right
but-
there, where you just, the last spot you pointed.
Yeah.
That is gonna be an island because there's a fire hydrant there. So we wanted to put an island there to protect the fire hydrant.
Yeah, I don't know if there's the possibility for any plantings or anything in either of those spaces, or maybe even some kind of planters or something
They
along the
do
building.
have 3 or 4 planters in the sidewalk across the front. I don't know if you can zoom in a little bit, but there's,
I can't really tell what's going on there.
Real quick before we zoom in, I do like Jackie's recommendation. Since this is striped off, there's really no reason we couldn't turn that into a, just a suggestion.
yeah, so across the front there's some boxes. And I think they've revised it a little bit since this, but they are having planters along the front there as well.
What is this indication here?
The crosswalk pattern that they use.
Oh, okay, just a material.
Yeah, it's just painting.
Oh, painting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it's just the crosswalk pattern that they use.
Will this parking here be utilized by the store, or is it just general parking, I guess, that will Dunham's keep their side entrance there maybe, or?
Yeah, Dunham's will still have that back entrance. We'll probably have to use that one to the side. It's been closed every time I've been in there. So we'll probably keep that as an emergency exit.
Oh.
But I think the parking through there is mainly for employee.
Okay. But there's no access to the store along here?
Other than emergency exits.
Yeah. Egress, yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anyone else here that wanted to speak for or against this item? Yeah, if you could come forward and please introduce yourself.
My name is Preston Humphreys. I didn't swear in earlier because I was just sitting here by my wife to listen.
Do you acknowledge that you will be truthful and conform to the facts of the case and
acknowledge.
something else, the words? Very
Nothing
good.
about
You're
perjury.
sworn in.
Yeah. So I live at 1700 Hilton Avenue, which, I don't know how this works. Is like over here. And that's a drag strip plaza. And there's an entrance right here. So I don't know what store is going in here, but there's enough truck traffic already from the people that use this. It's Create or whatever. They use that as storage. So they drive through that. I'm a truck driver myself. You're not supposed to drive with your doors open. They do it frequently because their warehouse is up here and they use this as storage. So they're racing back and forth. This is Subaru's car lot, basically, because it's cheaper than over here. So are they going to make this any better of a truck entrance for wherever the docks are? Because these are over here. All the entrances in there are not, I feel, not suitable for truck traffic. That's my question.
No, great question.
Currently, we're not proposing to revise any of those entrances other than the south one to Tiffin.
The docks for the proposed store are here.
Correct.
So you would anticipate the trucks.
We would assume, but yeah.
You would assume that they would be coming from there. But they're not prevented from coming.
Correct.
I side, all the truck traffic comes from the left. That's Best Buy, everything, that's where their docks are. So it's all night long, the trucks are going back and forth there. Over here, I can't say for sure, but I think that's no trucks. Because there's an ambulance over there, and then there's assisted living back there.
Yeah, so I don't think there's any plans to modify, sounds like, the entrances within the site. I think that this is another example of maybe we need to look at that whole kind of regional traffic flow with this change, because there might be some opportunities for traffic commission to look at how we could improve those flow, and maybe, right in, right out, larger turning radius, landscaping to slow people coming in. Now people driving with their doors open, I think that's something we can probably just touch base with the company on, because they shouldn't be doing that.
And it's 25 miles an hour speed limit, but it's a racetrack from Tiffin to Fostoria.
Mm-hmm.
And it's terrible. I mean, there was a period of time where there wasn't any kids, but now there's a lot more kids. And not that it really matters. I mean, years ago, I had an 8-month dog.
If you could come forward, because you are on the record, just so we need to make sure we get you captured on the recording, please.
It's been a long time ago, and I know people don't really care, but I had an 8-month-old dog. Somebody hit it, probably 40 miles an hour, and then just kept going. So, and that happens all the time, where there's animals up and down that road. They get hit all the time, and it's a racetrack, and we're just tired of it.
Yeah, and I don't think there are any stop signs
There are none.
between the two. So that's something that Traffic Commission could look at, because there is sufficient enough. I was going to say a roundabout. Sounds great.
I'm just going to say what I always say in traffic commission: stop signs do not slow people down. They've shown, because you slow down and then they speed up to the next one and actually increase their speed, so you can't use them as a speed control.
Yeah.
A stop sign won't work there unless there's stopways going this way on
Right.
Hill, but nothing on Plaza.
I will pass this information along to our police department for some target enforcement, hopefully.
It's like the people know they're there.
I know.
And nobody speeds when they're sitting there, and then as soon as they leave, they're dragging.
Yeah.
I don't
so
know how
that's-
many times when I would go into Subaru when the previous owner owned it, and told him, if you kill one of my kids, I'm going to own your car lot. Because they would race, because they used to park up there where Crows is now, where the new credit union is. They would race back and forth. They were kids. So there was many times when I would go in there, and I was not very nice. But,
Yeah.
I mean, if they would kill my kid, it would not have been pleasant for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can definitely look at some traffic calming measures and have Traffic Commission see what we may be able to do along that way. Unfortunately, people are not the best at following rules or being aware
Yes.
of what they're doing. So we can certainly look at that separate of this.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments on the site plan before us? Hearing none, I will motion to approve application for site plan review SP-16-2024 filed by Rocky 5 Investments for a new 131,809 square foot retail big box store at the Finley Village Mall, 1800 Tiffin Avenue, and with the condition of the isolation valves. And then I would just make a note that we would encourage you to work with regional planning to look for other opportunities for plantings to be added.
Second.
A question, and I thought I saw that on the plans, but I'm not sure. Are they planning to carry the same landscaping that Kane's Chicken and all that was across the front of the Tiffin Avenue?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
It was a struggle, but we got them to do it. So.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Schroeder.
Aye.
Mr. Klinger.
Aye, even without the parking island.
Mayor Murin.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Trombley.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving to item 10, application for site plan review SP-17-2024, filed by Bucyrus Lodging, Inc. for a new 153-unit hotel, parking lot, and retention pond located on Lot 1 of the Dale Parking Subdivision, located at the intersection of Mardick Drive and County Road 99. CPC staff comments.
Okay, so the request is located on the south side of County Road 99, east of, at the time it was Technology Drive, now it's Wellness Way. The area is a mix of C2 general commercial and M2 multifamily high density. It's not located within the 100-year floodplain, and the City of Findlay Land Use Plan designated the area as regional commercial. Parcel history: the site is currently vacant. This lot, the lot for this development was recently approved at the March 2024 CPC meeting. Staff analysis: applicant has proposed an 153 unit hotel for the south 4.04 acres of Lot 1 of Dale Park subdivision. This lot would face the proposed Mardick Drive upon its completion. The site has 158 parking spaces, which is below the minimum requirement. For hotels, the requirement is 1.1 spaces per room plus 1 spot per employee during peak shift. Rooms would require 168 parking spaces plus the additional spots for the employees. Parking lot meets the setbacks for C2 district. Staff did not see if there was a restaurant included with this hotel, but if there is one, that would require 1 space per 100 square foot over 1,000 square feet for areas used for entertainment. Plans show that the applicant has attempted to meet the landscaping requirements. While they did not provide the number of required shrubs, which was 157 rather than 166, they did provide an additional 5 ornamental trees, which staff is supportive of the change. They have provided the required 9 landscaped islands.
There you go, Dan.
Yeah. For the parking lot landscaping, they are short 12 trees and 86 shrubs. They noted that the majority of this is due to the pond on the south side of the site. For screening, it noted that should be determined by the City Planning Commission due to the multifamily development to the south of Midwest Court extension. Given that the lot is in between, there's a lot in between this property and the housing development is small, and that there's no timetable on how quickly that small lot could develop. Staff would like to see level 2, option 2 screening included on the south side. Level 2, option 2 is 5 canopy trees, 5 evergreen trees, 10 shrubs per 100 lineal feet of contiguous boundary. So staff recommends approval of the application for site plan review SP-17-2024 filed by Bucyrus Lodging, Inc. for the new 153 unit hotel, parking lot, and retention pond located on Lot 1 of the Dale Park subdivision, located at the intersection of Mardick Drive and County Road 99, with the following conditions. Add the required 12 trees and 86 shrubs to the site. Add level 2, option 2 screening to the south side of the site, and increase the parking to meet the parking standard.
Engineering.
So pretty much access for this site is going to be off the new roadway that is through here. So between this one and the next one, it's all going to be developed as that. I guess the roadway and the developments are going through. Same way with the mainline utilities, all that's going to be constructed as part of the roadway project. Pretty simple taps coming off of those. If you guys are going to be using irrigation, just need to have that as a separate tap. For the stormwater, the detention for this is actually for the whole property, so the whole 10 acres. So they have accounted that for in their detention calculations. But otherwise, just make sure we have the proper permits beforehand.
Fire prevention.
We just want to make sure they have their proper permits for construction and inspections.
Very good. So the recommendation before the commission, staff recommends approval of application for site plan review SP-17-2024 filed by Bucyrus Lodging, Inc. for a new 153-unit hotel parking lot and retention pond located on Lot 1 of the Dale Park subdivision, located at the intersection of Mardick Drive and County Road 99, with the following conditions. add the required 12 trees and 86 shrubs to the site, add level 2 option 2 screening to the south side of the site, and increase the parking to meet the parking standard. Discussion. Dan?
Parking, obviously, we'll go through that and we'll comply one way or another. We'll investigate that, whether it be a variance or obviously where there's more room, we can gain the additional parking spaces as needed. We'd like to work with the administration on the level 2 screening. You know, there is 200 foot here. You got a public roadway that, you know, could have some trees. And then with the apartments down here, none of those apartments have a back or front facing that direction. So we think that's just a little overkill. You know, if we can add some additional greenery or something along the south side of the pond, I think we'd be amenable to that. But again, getting that detailed of a level screening, especially when we're close to, you know, 350 feet plus or more from the residential thing. So again, if that's something that the board's good with, we'll work with Matt and Jake in their office on that. Other than that, I think everything is pretty self-explanatory on the comments and everything.
I'll speak to the level 2 screening. In this case, the code does not specifically require it. We were kind of making that suggestion, but we are flexible in meeting in the middle with some sort of landscaping. Dan, would it be able to go along this edge here?
Yeah,
Okay.
we would put it on the south side of that pond. That way, you know, the pond is visible from the apartments, or I'm sorry, from the hotel, and then that buffer would be between that and any development to the south of it.
From a staff standpoint, we kind of threw out the level 2 screening. It's not necessarily it's not a requirement per the code. If this was M2, then it would be a requirement.
Right.
But M2's a distance away, so in my mind, we're flexible on that recommendation, and we'd be happy to work with Dan to kind of come to a middle ground on some landscaping there.
And there's no fence proposed or anything around the pond, correct?
Correct. None.
Okay.
Was there anyone here to speak for or against this item? Okay.
This pond doesn't have any capacity for this lot here, does it?
It does not. Basically, this pond is like they were saying for this here. The roadway goes to a temporary detention facility here that ultimately goes this way. So any development that would happen outside of this, they would have to have their own stormwater management.
And is this lot here big enough for development?
We looked at that during the planning stages. To put a hotel or a big box, no, but you know, again, trying to get more, we'll say, local, you know, development in this small restaurant or something like that, it would be large enough to accommodate.
Okay.
Yeah, overall, I'm supportive of this project. I think you guys, have talked to us a couple different times to make sure that it's a layout that works for that entire region for future development. I know today, luckily, all the folks that have come before us know kind of the process, so our comments have been relatively minor. Obviously, landscaping's a big topic, but no, I'm fine with you guys working with HRPC to provide some appropriate screening in that area. I think we need additional hotel capacity, so this is a welcome development, and I think the layout overall makes sense.
So if you're going to do the additional parking or get a variance of some or whatever on that, is that then just an administrative approval then for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There, just so you know, there is not a restaurant in there. They will have they're serving, breakfast and stuff for only the patrons, but it's not a restaurant.
So this being one property that goes all the way to 99, in anticipation, this is the first development, and others will come behind it, but sidewalks being added in this, I just want to make sure it's going to get completed as we go, but.
What our city engineer is requiring for Mardick Roadway is on the east side of that, we are installing, the developer is going to install the 10-foot bike path. to tie into what's going on the south side of 99. As part of ours, we will have the standard city sidewalk on that side of the road, and we are showing connectivity from that sidewalk to the public sidewalk along there. So yes, we will have the pedestrian connectivity that the city is now pushing.
Thank you. Was there a lighting plan submitted?
I believe so.
Okay.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, I will motion to approve site plan SP-17-2024 filed by Bucyrus Lodging, Inc. for a new 153-unit hotel parking lot, 153-unit hotel, parking lot, and retention pond located at Lot 1 of the Dale Parking Subdivision, located at the intersection of Mardick Drive and County Road 99 with the following conditions. Add the required 12 trees and 86 shrubs to the site, and work with regional planning for additional screening and increase the parking lot to meet the parking standard. Sound good?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Mr. Klinger.
Aye.
Mayor Muir.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Trombley.
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 11, application for site plan review SP-18-2024 filed by Mardick Investments, Inc. for a new 374-unit townhome/apartment residential development located south of the future expansion of Midwest Court on Lot 11 of the Finley Commerce Park on the vacant land directly east. CPC staff comments.
Okay. This request, again, at the time it was Technology Drive. It is now Wellness Way. So east side of Wellness Way, south of Midwest Court. It is zoned M2 multifamily high density. To the west, it is zoned C2 general commercial. To the south, it's zoned office and condo. It's not located within a 100-year floodplain, and the City of Findlay land use plan designates the area as regional commercial. Parcel history, the site is vacant. The original proposal for the site was approved by City Planning Commission at the May 2022 meeting. The applicant was approved with the following conditions: submit the landscape plan for HRPC for review and approval, add connections between the sidewalks to better allow walkability on site, consult with consultant to work with engineering department on relocating the water line and adding additional valves, and clarification with water/sewer billing, and whether or not a meter was needed at each building or for each individual living quarter. So, staff analysis, the project has shifted in scale since that May 2022 CPC meeting. The apartment area on the east side of the site has been shifted west, and the single-family townhome option has been removed from the plans. This reduced the lot coverage down to 18.2% of the full site. The M2 maximum lot coverage, again, is 40%. All buildings meet the setbacks, height requirements, and separation requirements of the M2 district. They indicated that they will be providing 847 parking spaces throughout the development. This would exceed the required 823 spaces for the M2 district. Landscaping for foundation plantings, perimeter landscaping, and parking landscaping meets and exceeds the standards for the M2 district. One condition in the original plans was regarding adding sidewalks to allow better walkability. They have added extensive 5-foot wide concrete walks from the parking areas to their associated buildings, but staff would still like to see some of these walks connected to better serve the walkability for the site. Staff recommendation, CPC staff recommends approval of application for site plan review SP-18-2024 filed by Mardick Investments, Inc. for a new 374-unit townhome apartment residential development located south of the future expansion of Midwest Court on Lot 11 of the Finley Commerce Park and the vacant land directly east with the following condition: add connections between the sidewalks to better allow walkability on the site.
Thank you. Engineering.
So access is pretty much what we've seen before with a couple of changes to it. But when they extend Midwest Court out there, they'll have an entrance off of that, and then they still have the same entrance or the driveway coming off of Wellness Way there that they proposed the last time. Water service, good with the water line and everything that's shown on there. I know you guys have 1.5 inches shown for each building. Just want to clarify if it's one for the building or if you need one for each living quarters. So when they get permits and stuff, we'll have to know on that, because that's going to change meter locations. But really, the sanitary and water, don't have any problems with it. The stormwater within that, they have it zoned out into pretty much 3 areas where you can see those ponds. The south one's going to the north one, and then your north and your east ones are kind of the main drainage ponds for the area, if you want to say. But all the calculations comply with our standards, so don't have your problems with the site.
Fire prevention.
We just want to make sure they get their proper permits and inspections.
Very good. So the recommendation before the commission is staff recommends approval of application for site plan review SP-18-2024 filed by Mardic Investments, Inc. for a new 374-unit townhome / apartment residential development located at the south of the future expansion of Midwest Court on Lot 11 of the Finley Commerce Park and the vacant land directly east with the following conditions. Add connection between the sidewalks to allow better walkability on site, and then just clarification on the water billing meter needed first building or each living quarters. Can't talk, got stumbled. Dan.
Basically, this is, again, part of the whole development that we've been talking about for the last 3 or 4 months with the roadways and everything. The overall land developer, Mardic, is going to go ahead, have, Midwest Court installed, as well as, Mardic Way, to make the connectivity, to have that loop. Again, this development's already been submitted. We've kind of refined it a little bit, changed some of the unit layouts and stuff like that. The one good thing that I want to point out here is what they did is they were creating a more of a true intersection here that could allow the potential development of that roadway, public roadway, extending south, open up more development land possibilities, connection down to 95. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out that was a little bit different than what we had before, where the whole southern portion, south of Midwest, was kind of blocking any future development. We've complied with pretty much everything else. We'll work with Jeremy on the water services and everything, making sure the water sizes. Public walking connectivity, that's something that the developers and we've been kind of talking about, trying to figure out the best way to get this done. We wanted to make sure that we showed some sidewalks on there, but again, working with the administration on coming up with a path or a pattern on how they, would connect. Again, they're going to connect out to the public sidewalks, both on Wellness Way and Midwest Court.
Dan, so this site, can you refresh my memory on how many acres it is?
The entire development, just this site?
Yeah.
I don't have that exact number, but if I had to guess, maybe 20 to 25, because I think the entire area is about 60.
Okay.
What will we have in the way of site lighting, whether it be street lighting or other site lighting?
You're going to do any type of site lighting?
I'm Griffin Caldwell with the developer Casto. We're going to have building lighting as well as street lighting.
Primarily for the driving or lighting the streets for the most part?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. What about landscaping then? We didn't have a landscaping plan in the...
No, we did. We submitted a landscape plan. The original one from a couple years ago was not submitted at that time, but Jake stated that we are in compliance with the code. We have landscaped islands all over the site. But yeah, I mean, we do. We have foundation landscaping as well as landscaping along the islands and the parks and parking areas and everything.
Is this development going to be built in phases?
So there's two phases. The first phase is, I believe it's
Like the
230 units.
Okay.
And then we want to see how the site progresses north of us before we start the second phase, which would be, what is it, additional 144 units.
Okay, so there's like there's a
It's
line
hard to
on
s-
here.
it's hard to see
It's like a
on there.
north-south kind of
Yeah,
phase line?
essentially.
Okay.
I think it's like the 3 says sheet 3.1 and then 3.2 and then 3.3, I guess is probably, you're working off of the roadway and then down.
Yeah, I think pretty much the north half is gonna be done first. and then the
Okay, I'm not
southern
looking
half
at the
we
right
can
line
Go
then.
from there, yeah.
So,
That's why we kinda had the different ponds set up the way they did, so.
Very
figured this was the phase line.
And
Yeah.
all the ones on sheet 3.1 look like they're the one-story condo type properties, or it's
That's your,
The townhouse.
townhouse.
on the very west side
Yeah.
of the site.
Well,
Townhouses.
yeah. They're two-story townhouses when you first drive in, and then the garden are two-story as well.
Oh, okay.
Let's see 'em.
Yeah, there's a,
Right when you drive in.
yeah.
So
there's-
overall, I really
here's the
like the
main drive
project.
coming
I'm
into the
excited to
townhouse,
see
yeah.
this come back from the prior approval and modifications to make this work. I think the buildings look really nice. Just one comment I give people frequently is if you can look for opportunities to create variation between the buildings so it's not a neighborhood of cookie cutter properties, maybe different color combinations, different things like that, that would just be encouraged because I think it looks nicer. It's a point of personal preference.
Duly noted.
Other questions or comments on the proposal? Hearing none, I will motion to approve site plan SP-18-2024 filed by Mardic Investments, Inc. for a new 374-unit townhome / apartment residential development located south of the future expansion of Midwest Court on Lot 11 of the Finley Commerce Park and the vacant land directly east with the following conditions: add connections between sidewalks to allow for better walkability, working with HRPC to determine that plan, and then just provide clarification with engineering on the water billing structure.
Second.
Questions or comments? Any further discussion? Hearing none. Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Mayor Murin,
Aye.
Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Mr. Trombley,
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder,
Aye.
Mr. Klinger.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
I didn't choose a good day to have a frog in my throat, having to talk so much. All right, final item, number 12, reestablishment of a non-conforming use, NCU-01-2024, filed by Protec Rental Properties LLC to reestablish a car repair business in a residential property at 740 Crystal Avenue. CPC staff comments.
All right, so this request is located on the west side of Crystal Avenue at the intersection with Midland Avenue. The parcel is zoned R1, large lot residential. It's located in within a mostly R1 large lot residential neighborhood with some R3 small lot residential to the south. This location is not located within a 100-year floodplain, and the City of Findlay land use plan designates the area as single-family small lot. Applicant submitted a statement that historically there was a car repair shop in the site since the 1940s. Protec Rental Properties bought the building in 2021. Rooster Roofing, which is also owned by the Protec Rental owner, Joe Corn, has utilized the space for storage of vehicles and for his business in the meantime. So staff analysis, the site has been a persistent misfit with its neighborhood. Given the size and space and the proximity to the residential, it's difficult to get the right business to utilize the space. While staff understands the pre-existence of the car repair business, it's been over 2 years since it was discontinued. Staff would like to see improvements made to the site, including enclosing the rear outdoor area to minimize the impact with its neighbor if approved. We did meet with Mr. Corn yesterday. We did discuss concerns about having it be enclosed and the ability to get site clearance or corner clearance. It's a very tight fit there. and if with cars coming in off of Blanchard there or Crystal and Midland, trying to turn, it could create some safety concerns. So, in terms of the recommendation, I think we're open to kind of reworking them, I guess. So originally our recommendation was approval of the reestablishment of non-conforming use NCU-01-2024 filed by Protect Rental Properties LLC to reestablish a car repair business in the residential property at 740 Crystal Avenue with the following conditions: pave and enclose the outdoor area in the rear of the building, all work being done inside the enclosed space, and hours of operation restricted from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. I think we also discussed with him about not having the restriction on the hours. I guess we're okay with it being on the weekends as long as it's not disruptive to the neighborhood. I think we also discussed about the number of cars being parked in that back parking lot to 6 customer spots rather than having it be enclosed, just to limit the amount of things back there, and a restriction on outdoor storage to not allow that since it is a car repair business. So sorry for the convoluted rambling, but we thought that was good context before we had discussion.
Jacob, did we hear anything from the neighborhood?
Yes, we did have some neighbors call and say, this has been kind of a misfit in their neighborhood for a number of years. One of the neighbors did submit some photos of some oil pans that were just kind of strewn over the grass area outside, and which isn't a good look for the building. So for a number of years, Rooster Roofing was in there and we didn't receive any complaints though. So while it's a misfit, it could potentially work.
So just a point of clarification, I apologize, I didn't ask about this in advance. So if we establish it as a non-conforming use, what, if any, ability do we have to remove it? Is this similar to a conditional use where if we begin to get complaints, we're able to revoke, or how does that work?
I don't think so. But I don't know that for sure. As you've mentioned, the conditional use, it's pretty clear cut that we can revoke a conditional use. This is reestablishing a non-conforming use, which will actually, it doesn't end here. It goes to Planning and Zoning Committee and then the City Council. My gut feeling is that you do not have the same control as a conditional use.
And yeah.
So this would then be a car business, a car repair business. Rooster Roofing would not use it as a storage at that time then?
Correct. Well, the car business has actually moved in and is operating right now.
Yeah.
Rooster Roofing had moved out. There's the owner of Rooster Roofing also owns the building, but the car facility is in place today.
And what were you restricting, 4 vehicles or something like that?
We looked at the site here, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We figure 6 cars could be pulled in and parked there. So we were thinking limit it to 6 cars on site. Limit it to no outdoor storage. All work must be completed inside the building, and then have a discussion about the hours of operation. We said Monday through Friday, like 8 to 5 or what. And that, I think there was some interest in having some Saturday hours, and I wouldn't be opposed to like 8 to noon on Saturday or something like that.
Given this is not a conditional use, though, are we even able to put those types of restrictions on this? This is just establishing the use. This isn't setting the conditions of a conditional use.
I'm I'm of the opinion that most anything that comes before this board, we can put conditions on. Conditional uses are a little different in that we can fall back with those.
Okay.
So I still think we can put conditions.
Are you recommending that the entire site be paved then? Hard
So-
surface?
We met with the applicant, and the applicant had expressed that, you know, the cost would be rather exorbitant, and the fact it's been a gravel area for the last 40 years. So,
Well, let's bring
Okay.
the applicant up. Since we've been talking a little bit, can you tell us kind of about your operation? If you've
Just real quick, fire prevention did have a comment.
did I skip fire prevention? Sorry. He needs a fire inspection prior to opening. I got it. Yeah, there. Well, no, we still kind of need it. Hopefully, you did that. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your project.
Good morning, or close good afternoon. If we were drawing straws, I definitely lost this morning. But my name's Joe Korn. Yes, I do own Rooster Roofing. There are multiple members that own ProTech rental properties, so Rooster did actually rent the building. But yeah, to their point, we leased it to a car repair business. We were under the understanding that the property was grandfathered in under the non-conformity, and it was operating. And so it wasn't until that we came up and talked to Eric that, and to be honest, I still don't have 100% the clarification with what it says with your guys' codes. I mean, if you look at 116206 D, it says equal or lesser non-conformity. Any non-conforming use of a structure may be changed to another non-conforming use of the same or more restricted classification. And so my question would be is, if we do keep this building and we continue to rent it, do I have to go through this process every single time we would re-rent it? When I felt, according to your code, Rooster Roofing fell into basically the same code as the small repair business, which would be a light industry. I mean, when it goes through the permitted uses, it talks about K is mini storage warehouse, O is storage lots, R contractor storage equipment, and this is obviously going to be major automotive repair, which falls into the category G of your code. So I guess I have some questions as far as, if we're going to hold this property and go through this every single time, is the value really there for us to even keep it?
Eric, can you provide some clarity?
So it was mentioned the other day while we met with Mr. Corin that each use has its own, I mean, it could be a higher density use, it could be a lower density use, even though it says it's permitted, it's still like the instance with contractor storage of vehicles is not the same as a heavy repair automobile shop. So there is a higher density of use involved. And he's distracting me. So just because it's listed under permitted uses doesn't mean that that's, you still have to go through the process to make sure that the use is appropriate for the building. Now, what was suggested to Mr. Corn yesterday was get through this whole process of getting it reestablished as a non-conforming use and then go through a zoning change to properly get it zoned to what he feels best would fit that parcel. Probably C1, C2, I1 maybe, just because the uses that have been throughout the past 40 years of this property.
Very good, thank you. So certainly, if you want to contest, we can work through our law director and have a further discussion. You know, I think today it's figuring out, does this make sense to continue to operate in this neighborhood at this location? I would agree, you know, the safest way to protect your asset would be to get it rezoned to be able to be utilized at a more commercial utilization if that's going to bring you the most revenue. Again, we wouldn't be able to guarantee what that process would look like. You know, I have positives and negative feelings about this one. Obviously, it has been kind of operating as light industrial in light commercial. I feel like storage is less intense than operating a mechanic shop or a repair shop. So that concerns me a little bit. But the overall property, I think, can be conducive to it. Have we heard many complaints? How long has it been operating most recently?
We moved out June 15th. I believe they moved in July 1st.
Okay.
And what were you using it for Rooster Roofing? It was office primarily, or
Everything.
office and storage?
Yeah, so you see the vehicles out back.
This, that's your
Yeah,
guy,
I mean,
okay.
it was fully functional. And to kind of piggyback off the hours, Rooster Roofing runs till 10 o'clock at night, sometimes back in trucks and trailers in there. And to their point, there was never any complaints. I know that the auto repair shop that is there now wants to work beyond the hours that they're trying to restrict it to.
If we reestablish this, can we get the property cleaned up?
Can you
get the property cleaned up from the standpoint of fence? You know, it's falling down. You know, and should we have an enclosure also on the parked vehicles that are there?
So we talked about the enclosure of that, and the problem is this is turn 3 of Daytona 500 for a lot of cars flying on and off those roads. And our concern was if we fence that off, they work on a car and you have somebody trying to back out of there, because there's not going to be, once you put a fence in, you're not going to have enough room to turn around in that parking lot and be able to get them back out.
I think
that was part of our discussion.
Yeah.
It is, you know, ideally there, you know, we could have some screening there, but I do agree with the applicant that you pull cars in here, you can't, it's too small to get turned around, and you won't necessarily be able to face, you know, be able to go forward out the street. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of challenges to this site.
Yeah,
We do have a neighbor that is present if they would like to add a.
Somebody's hiding from
Yep.
me over there. I'm sorry, you are totally you are hidden completely. You sat in the spots where I cannot see you past all of our lovely commission members' heads. Sir, feel free to come on up and please introduce yourself. In the meantime, you know, I'm really struggling with this. I feel like we're trying to fit how's the saying go? Square peg, round hole, but I feel like depending on it doesn't feel like it fits this space, and I know it has been in the past, and I always want to try to help people figure out a way to make it work, but this is a struggle.
Okay.
Sir, if you can introduce yourself.
My name's Clark Thompson. I live at 430 Garfield, which is the opposite corner. And, you know, I don't have no problem with it being a garage. They're quiet, nice people. I've met them. The only complaints I have is that falling down ugly-ass fence. It's terrible. It's got weeds growing up on it and everything. You know, if they just put some nice white vinyl or something up there that would look, you know, enhance the neighborhood, not be an eyesore. And being paved, I don't really care about that. You know, gravel's fine with me. But that's about the only comments I have. And plus, when they put the gravel in there initially, they didn't compact it properly. So as they drove their trucks across it, they busted the sidewalk all up. And I walk past there 3 times a day with my dog, so I don't like walking on a busted up sidewalk.
Okay.
So that's and I'm the one who took the pictures of them having their oil pans laying out in the gravel there, drip drying, you know.
Yeah.
So,
So from your standpoint, in the past, it wasn't just when there was a mechanic shop there previously, it wasn't too disruptive to the neighborhood.
No, Bond is the one that originally owned it. I moved there in '91, and he just did little repairs. You know, he just fixed a dent, or he didn't do any heavy, you know, grinding or cutting, making any noise. So it's always been pretty quiet. And this shop that's in there now, they're not causing any problems in the neighborhood.
Okay.
other than just being an eyesore.
Okay. No, I really appreciate that feedback, that you guys you know what's going on in your neighborhood better than we do. We get a snapshot of it, so I really appreciate
Oh, I
that
got
insight.
maps of the whole area where all the pipes are. And the
There's
street and
always
everything.
a couple in the there's always a couple in each neighborhood that's really keeping eagle eyes on it, and
Oh,
I
yeah,
appreciate
they're in
it.
there drilling. I'm looking what's going on. Because when MetroNet just put their
Yeah.
conduits in there, they were putting them on outside of the right of way. I went out there with my little map and said, "Hey, you're outside the right of way. You put it over there."
You looking for a part-time job?
And I'm retired. I got a full-time job in my old house.
Perfect. Thank you. All right.
Hey Joe, what's actually in the building? Is it just a garage and a short office, small office, or what is actually inside the building?
Small office, probably 12 by 12,
Okay.
roughly, half bath. It has the cathedral ceilings. It was all redone. It has a exhaust fan for the paintwork, as he mentioned.
Okay.
It was built as a body shop back in 1940. It was owned by Bond Body Shop up until 2018, and then Michael Stearns purchased it, and he ran a pallet shop through there until our purchase of 2021, and then we operated out of there until this year.
See, the hard thing for me is that we normally, the R1, when we see conditional uses come through for businesses, it's home businesses, right? It's a home, but they want to do a hair salon, something else like this. This is a commercial building. This isn't somebody's home, right? So this has been a commercial property for 60-some years. I think your suggestion of rezoning it to commercial makes sense. It doesn't help us today, but I think that makes sense is the right way. And then, then you can go to a conditional use to get a minor automotive service.
To clarify, when we purchased the building, I was not aware that it wasn't actually zoned commercial. I thought it was. It was a little bit misleading by the auditor's site. I've learned a couple things about that since then. But when I called up and asked about this, I was told that the property has never been vacant for more than 2 years, and it's grandfathered in to operate as commercial. And at the time, I was told there was really nothing else I needed to do because it's already operating as a full-time business.
Right.
But I do agree with you, and when you start talking about blacktop and dollars and cents, okay, we can have that conversation, but don't we want to get this zoned as actual commercial? I mean, are we going to spend the dollars on blacktop, and then every single time a new business would run in there, then we're coming back before the board, and it may not be a set of people that would agree or disagree with it, and then we just put all that money into something that limits what we're able to actually put. I mean, it is a smaller square footage space. This isn't a 4 or 6 car repair shop. It's never going to be. I think, maybe 2 to 3 cars inside it. Any one given time would probably be the max.
Do you have a dumpster there, or does the
So we
operator?
did have a dumpster to piggyback off of what he mentioned about the concrete being busted up. So it was actually the 80,000-pound trash truck that was run across the sidewalk that busted that up. So we pulled that back out, and we just have a toter there at this point.
And the entrance is off of Crystal, where that car is that's the good entrance.
Yeah,
to
so
the
there's
garage.
one garage door on the front of the building there that you can pull in and out, and then the entrance for the stone parking is all along Midland there.
Right.
And there's also a garage door on the
Yeah,
other side
on
street.
Midland as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have too much. Well, I agree with what you're saying though too. We ought to maybe look at rezoning that so that we're not fighting with that if something else
I
comes
think
along.
this is step one. We did this not realizing the regulation with automotive. We put them there. We want to keep them there. I can tell you every time we have a truck repaired, it's 2 weeks. So I know that automotive repair is very much so needed in Findlay, Hancock County. I think this is step one. Step two is circling back and, okay, let's actually get this thing zoned right. So 20 years from now, my kids aren't coming in here trying to figure out, why dad never messed with this.
And to speak on that, the original conversation was getting it rezoned.
Yeah.
But knowing that they had opened up and we were going through this whole thing, the fastest route for them to stay open and be legal was to reestablish that use of a major automobile repair. And then circling back, like you said, to get it rezoned properly. Because if we would have went through rezoning, it would have been 2 to 3 months. Then he would have to come back for conditional use. It'd be another month and a half. So it was the fastest route was to reestablish something that was there prior.
I kind of like the idea of establishing the non-conforming use with the requirement to redo the fence and also restrict the hours, and that will be some incentive to come back and eventually get the rezoning to where those restrictions might not be in place.
So I want to make sure I understand, so we do the reconforming today, and then if we go and rezone it commercial, the non-conforming would
That would fall. I mean,
away,
because then the use
Because
would
they'd
be
be compliant with the
conforming to
commercial.
the zoning.
Okay.
And I think that's where he's a little confused is, yes, it's grandfathered as a commercial zoning use, but the actual use of the property has changed from bond auto repair to a pallet storage to rooster roofing. So the zoning is grandfathered, even though it's R1 or R2, but the use hasn't carried over, and that there has been expiration of 2 years that bond auto repair, which was the major automobile repair, expired in 2020.
And just to note, there's use structure. The structure will always be legal non-conforming. So if they want to expand it in the future, we have to look at the legal non-conforming structure because it doesn't meet the setbacks or any of that.
Right.
We're talking more the use.
Right.
And the flexibility there.
So I think you owe your neighbor a box of chocolates for showing up. From my perspective, I will motion to reestablish a non-conforming use NCU-01-2024 filed by Protec Rental Properties LLC to reestablish a car repair business and a residential property at 740 Crystal Avenue with the following conditions. All work to be done in the enclosed space. Need a fire inspection. If you haven't gotten that before you open, need to get that ASAP, and then redo the sidewalk and replace the fence. The reason I'm not putting the hours restriction is because that I feel that's being addressed by having all work done in the enclosed space. So if he's in there, working on something at 6 a.m., as long as he's not being disruptive to the neighborhood, I don't have an issue with it.
So one thing.
One second, I need a second on my motion.
When you say enclosed space, are you talking about inside
Yes.
the shop, inside the building, not
Yes.
inside the fencing?
Correct.
Okay. Yep. I'm on
Inside
board
the
with that.
building.
I'll second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Now discussion.
Okay, one question with the fence. So we actually have an offer on the house that is backed up to this property. We're trying to get it purchased. So
Okay.
because I think it fits better together. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but so that would be one thing on the fence where if we would purchase that property, we would probably want to, look at maybe doing the fence a little bit differently than how it's currently laid out. I just want to be on record and make sure that would be okay if that would to.
What is a reasonable time frame for a decision on that to be made? If you,
The gentleman's in the nursing home now. Realistically, I'm hoping to hear back in a week or two.
Okay.
And you're not planning on expanding the commercial use into the new property?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So replace the fence within 2 months?
Okay.
And work with the team as long as we're seeing meaningful progress. That's the important part. Okay.
I just want to double clarify. So Joe, you're not thinking of I want to expand the parking lot.
No.
Okay. I just wanted to be.
No, I mean, the problem is the size of this property. It does not make sense financially to expand that entire. I mean, Blacktop's not cheap.
Yeah.
So for us to do it makes absolutely no sense. I've driven past their operation to get a little better feel since we've come here. I've never seen more than just a couple cars in that parking lot.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify you weren't buying this house with plans of expand. Just wanted to
I
have
mean-
it, understand.
Yeah.
So that's good with me.
Yeah, because we would probably say that may not make sense for you. So, okay, so we have a motion and a second. Was there anyone else hiding from me or any other comments? Hearing none. Jacob, whenever you're ready.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Trombley?
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder?
Aye.
Mr. Klinger?
Aye.
Mayor Mern, aye.
Yeah, Mayor Moore.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you
All
for your
right,
time.
as a reminder, that goes next steps. Yep. All right. He's gonna go get some food. All right. With that, I have no other items on the agenda. This meeting, August 8th meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Good work.